For Saturday. Listen, I got everything for you. I got an interview. And it's not just any normal interview. We're talking something we all love. To the deepest chambers of our hearts. I'm talking about money. If you don't love money, there's something wrong with you. You have to love money. Look at us. I think money is the equivalent of oxygen. So if you don't love money, you absolutely don't like breathing. That's what our conversation is right now. It's all about that money. So to get us started, he's not just anybody, ladies and gentlemen. You have to understand this guy will make you rich. I'm going to follow him. You have to understand this and you have to believe in this. If money could talk, Kiri, if money could talk, or if money could utter a word, man, a chatter guru, a cheese teacher, this cat will make you fall in love and understand your wallet in ways you could not have imagined. Alpha, travel junkie, founder of TK Consultancy. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the one, the only TK, the money guy. Come Yes. What's cracking, brother, man? How you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm good, Heavy D. I'm fantastic. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like a lot of money.
I like that. Are you feeling rich?
I'm feeling
I
wealthy.
like that.
I'm feeling very wealthy.
I've always wanted to have a conversation with you from such a long time ago.
Sure.
But at that point in time, I wasn't on any platform. I wasn't doing anything. I was like, okay, fine. I could introduce it. I could invite you for coffee. But then I wanted something that would allow us to get the message across in a beautiful manner.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
I tried a couple of podcasts, but then I had to sit back away from the podcast because they were too far from me. So we couldn't do that. And then I was off air for a while, so we couldn't do that. But then I saw you sitting at my coffee shop.
Yes.
Noble Coffee, by the way.
Noble Coffee, shout out to
I
that.
saw you sitting at the coffee shop. I'm like, I'm gonna shoot my shot.
And I was just there ready.
Listen, I was like, I'm gonna shoot my shot. We're gonna handle the situation. We're doing this interview pronto.
Sure.
You told me on some other radio station, I was like, hey, it's might be conflict of interest. And you were like, hell, we're doing this.
I'm doing it.
And I appreciate you so much for doing it.
Thank you so much for having me here.
I think you have an outlook. I've checked your work.
Sure.
And I don't know. A while back, I've told you this as well. We bumped into each other here and there. But kept on saying, like, you do something very beautifully there. Giving literacy about money, which is what we lack a lot as black people.
Absolutely.
We're in trouble because we don't understand our wallets, and it's disgusting. So I'm gonna hit you up for one thing, and I really like that you put that out there. And I really thought it was something, and I tell my moms all the time,
Yeah.
stop calling it that.
Oh.
You can't call it that. It's not that anymore.
Sure.
Passing.
I hate the word
understand?
parcel.
What's the correct way to address money?
I think growing up, many of us can relate to this. My parents used to be like, exactly. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I was like, what's
My
this
mom is
puzzle?
still using that word today.
What's this puzzle? And for me personally, the biggest challenge with calling money what it's not, a puzzle, etc. A lot of people do not have a relationship with money. And usually what they say is what you fears you.
Ooh.
So the fact that we call money pasil, it means that we are afraid of it.
Yeah.
Therefore, we do not have a positive relationship with it. It took my personal finances hitting rock bottom for me to realize that actually, why are we calling chalete pasil? What is a parcel by a way? And I realized that when we start saying money is money, yo, Heavy D, where's my $500, for example, instead of, hey, dude, you know about that thing? What's that thing?
Yeah.
That thing is money. And if we call money, it becomes something easy, something relatable, something not foreign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You came prepared for this.
You came
interview,
prepared.
right? You knew exactly what was coming. Yes, you know what I'm gonna make
Preparation is key. Preparation is
It's
key.
very important.
Absolutely.
Has money always been a huge point of discussion in your life growing up?
So I come from a very business-oriented family.
Okay.
So my parents were business people. They've never been employed.
Yeah.
So I grew up around money. You know, my parents used to send me to the bank, for example, to make daily deposits because we don't want to carry a lot of cash.
Yeah.
So I've always been around money, but I never... But strangely, I never thought it was mine to own, mainly because if you're working for a family business, you hardly ever get paid a salary, you know.
I know exactly what
you know. Exactly.
Noble coffee.
Exactly.
What's up, guys? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I've always been around money because most of the businesses were very cash-centric, you know, but we never really talked about money. Nearly like a stock or doing this or doing that. But I never really felt like it was mine to own. Strangely, however, I've always been very business oriented as well. So in boarding school, I used to have my own small business. I used to sell airtime, I used to sell snacks, my kipi, I used to sell everything that I could sell.
Yeah.
And it went from having pocket money about 20, 30 bucks, 50 bucks, which was very little at the time, to me say, actually, I have 200 rand. You know, fast forward to varsity. Varsity, I used to have a number of side hustles. I used to work for the accounting department, for example. I used to be a student promoter. I used to do everything that could get me money. But I've always never really had a positive relationship with money because it comes and it goes out very quickly.
It goes real quick, yeah.
So I started working in corporate Lesotho for one of the commercial banks. And my finances hit rock bottom. I'm talking high levels of debt. I'm talking credit card debt. You know, there's a Kingsway Mall, Kingsway Road. There's a vibe down there.
Yeah.
On Thursday.
Yeah, no. You went in.
We went in. And we swiped this card. We swiped this card. You know, you put out the credit card and it's gold.
I got this.
Yes.
I got this.
It hit rock bottom. Every Thursday, I used to buy new clothes just so that I look good on Fridays. You know that if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you do
I
good.
understand exactly what you're saying.
Heavy D. I was in debt, 15,000 rand clothing account
That's
debt.
crazy.
Credit card debt to the level of 7.5. My car, which I still drive now, 10 years later, I was paying ridiculous amounts of money on it. And I had zero savings, I had no investments. So I was like, something has got to change.
God, we're going to definitely discuss all of those things. You're going to help us change. Because trust me, I know that. One of my main points of conversation is how we are so bad with savings. We tend to go to loan sharks and this and that, and it's terrible what it does to a person. Empire State of Mind, Jay-Z. Why that number? It's a jam, by the way.
Oh, it's a jam.
It's a jam.
It reminds me of my second solo trip because I'm a travel enthusiast. For my 30th birthday, I decided, you know what? I'm going to save some money and go to New York. I went to New York City, and the energy in New York. It's a very cold city in terms of people really don't care about you and what you're doing.
Everybody's mind
is on the business, and it's very fast paced. So for me, Empire State of Mind really reaffirmed that, you know what, Tokiso, your dreams, as crazy and as bold as they are very bold and valid. And I went to Empire State to the 86th floor, and you get to see New York City from that level. At that point, I was like, you know what, there ain't nothing I can't do.
Listen.
There ain't nothing I can't do.
Listen.
I'm going to go back home and I'm going to make a lot of money, but I'm going to help a lot of us to also make a lot of money so that we grow up together. We grow together and lift each other
and
up.
Move together.
It's a special one for
me. I love that. He's in the building, TK, the money guy in Terror. We're here to change your state of mind. But before that, let's do a little something like this, Empire State of Mind. Let's go.
Cap, holla back. For foreigners, it ain't fit. They act like they forgot how to act.
Hey, stories. I be here naked. Hey, that's the things they make it. Hey. It just a pill of the pains away. 3 dice eat, 3 cars money. Rest in peace, Bob Marley. Lord, live the water. I think I'm going to put my head on the block for this one and say this to you. This is probably one of the best songs anybody's ever picked in the hot seat.
Oh, I love it.
It's a jam.
I love it.
It's a jam.
The energy.
Everything about it is amazing.
Absolutely.
Good God, it gets me going all the time. Getting back into it. Look, being a coach on any level is never easy. especially in Lesotho. I like to make that a point that we are so far back in a lot of things that we don't see something we gotta create for ourselves. And the minute we start creating things, it's gonna draw some attention to it. And the minute that attention comes, there's no going back.
Sure.
Becoming a money coach. Is it safe to call you a money coach?
Money coach, financial coach, yeah.
Okay, becoming a financial coach, a money coach, how do you get into that? What drove you to that decision? Like, this is what we have to do. Just so that people don't do the same mistakes. Because a lot of people are still making the same, and they will keep making those same mistakes. And you can probably monetize from that. You know, how do you jump into it?
So how it started, firstly I studied at BCom Finance at Varsity, undergrad and postgrad masters in financial management. So after my journey started as me sharing my biggest financial mistakes via a blog post, you know. So I literally wrote an article about the financial mistakes that I've made, the high levels of debt, the no savings, the spending my retirement benefits when changing jobs, you know. And I put it out on the internet, and people actually
What were
started
you spending on? Apart from the club you were going, yeah.
I was just living it up. I was living the Masuri dream.
How much were you making at that time?
So at the time, I was a grad trainee. I was making my net income was 4,900 malut. I was paying 2.5 for my car. I was living with my sister at the time.
Okay.
And I was paying, I had an overdraft, had a personal loan. I was literally not making. I was living on my credit card. Actually. I was living on the credit card. You pay the credit card, and after you paid, you spend the money again. So it's that revolving cycle.
And it's not coming.
It's not. It's horrible. So anyway, fast forward to. After this, I then decided to actually enroll for a postgraduate in financial planning law. Because I was like, if I'm going to start talking about money, besides the fact that I have a finance background, I actually need to specialize within personal finance. So the more workshops I did, the more speaking engagements I went to, people started approaching me to say that, you know what, actually, let's talk about my individual finances. Yes, you're speaking very generally, but I want us to be more specific. So I remember the first client that actually approached me, and I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
But you went in.
I went in. We had the session. It was a bit messy. I think the client was a bit like, okay, what are we doing?
Where are you when you have it? Are you at the house?
So I met at the client's house. So coffee, conversations about their money and their finances, and it was just a very uncomfortable conversation. And I think what made it even more uncomfortable was I was in their place. So it was a bit strange. So after that, I was like, I actually need to sharpen my skills as a coach because it's one thing to talk about finances, but to actually coach somebody through that process is a completely different experience.
Exactly.
So I then enrolled for a short course on financial coaching. And after that, I had the skills and a bit of more confidence to actually go forward and actually call myself a money coach. So it's an ongoing process where you always continue working on yourself, developing yourself, attending webinars. So I do like monthly coaching programs with other coaches just so that we sharpen our skills as coaches. So that's how it really started. And like you mentioned, coaching is, I try not to share my own experiences because coaching is about the client.
Exactly.
And then you literally guide them through the process to say that, okay, have you thought about that? What's your view on this? So it's really just a beautiful journey. And the more I do it, the better I become at it, and the more comfortable and confident I become.
Coaching is basically like teaching.
It's teaching.
You meet. I was one of those students, basically, a hard knock. Like, to get through me, you had to really force things. You meet a lot of clients, I'm sure. They don't get it. Some of them really just think you're a waste of time.
Don't get me started on that.
How do you go through that?
So strangely, the book I'm reading now is How to Give Financial Advice That Sticks. And the reason I'm reading this particular book is because some of my clients, we have sessions, it's either they disappear, it's either they ghost me, it's either they literally just don't implement. So I was trying to understand what's the psychology behind that behavior, you know. So you do have clients that, I remember one event that I went to, and I see this client that ghosted me for a while, and she was like ducking and diving. And I'm like, it's okay, it's okay. So you get to realize that some clients come to you, but they're not ready for the process. Some clients come to you, but they are not really vested in the process. And there's some clients who actually come and literally go through the entire process. So as a coach, your measure of success is seeing your clients' lives transform.
Oh, yes.
And it took a knock when I saw that not happen with some of the clients.
Of course.
And then obviously you projected, is it me? Am I not good enough?
Of
Is the
course.
advice not doing well? But then you go through therapy, you go to the workshops, coaching programs with other coaches, then you realize that I'm actually not alone in this journey.
Yeah.
So the book that I'm reading now is actually giving me tools to say that sometimes it's really not about your skills. Sometimes it is about your skills as a coach. So it's giving me tools and strategies.
Yeah,
Yes.
you just have to know what to strike that balance. If you don't mind me asking, of course, no, this is your business. How much you charge?
So it depends on the client. So I have clients that come to me on a once-off basis. Consultation is 850 malut.
Okay.
I have clients that actually enroll for a 3-month program.
Yeah.
So that will depend on the client's needs to say that, okay, which area of your finances do you want me to touch on? So what I'm also realizing is it's not just about the finances. So usually when a client comes to me, I then ask, are you seeing a psychologist? Because of the psychology of money. So you realize that sometimes the financial decisions they've made is because of either the past the childhood trauma or trauma in their lives.
Yeah.
So they need to be seeing a psychologist
Of course,
as well.
of course.
So depending on what the client is and where they're at, then we deliver and we package a suitable package for them. So it ranges between, it's about 6 sessions.
Yeah.
It's anything between 5.5 to 10 plus. Yeah, so depending on the client's needs. Yeah.
And it's very important.
Yeah.
Like the way we handle money right now, it's just, and I like that you touched on psychology.
Absolutely.
Because we don't realize the trauma we've been going through and how it's affecting our balances and how it's affecting our wallets. Because we went through a lot. These past 2 years, these past 3 years, it's been a roller coaster of changes. So now, if you're not going to deal with that mentally, there is no way you're going to be able to handle your finances properly.
And just to add on to that, you'd be very surprised how the childhood plays a big role. So say, for example, you grew up in a family where money was very scarce or very scarce.
Yeah.
You know, so you literally work hard your entire high school, your entire varsity, so that you can get a job, so that you can afford the things that you could not afford. Sometimes that behavior, you push it so far out that it really becomes toxic to your financial decisions. And it only takes us realizing that the reason you are spending so much on J's, the reason you're spending so much, you're trying to close a void that comes from your childhood. You know? So that's why you need to be going to a psychologist as well, so that you deal with that childhood trauma or any other trauma that you've been experiencing throughout your life.
I can't start to express how much we really need to handle that childhood trauma, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I live One Republic. Why that you? Let's go.
So One Republic reminds me of my trip in my first overseas trip, and we literally did a Euro tour. Started in Amsterdam, went to France, Germany, Austria, France.
So you're proper travel.
I love to travel. I love to travel, and I actually plan a stay for it. So for me, this song literally wrapped up what was 2 weeks of moving from one country to the other. New friends formed because it was a group travel. People that I've never met in my entire life, except the friend I was with, and literally now we are friends with these people. So and it reminds me, life is short. Live your best life within a budget.
Go for it. You have to live your best life within a budget. Before we move on any further, I want to touch up on Money Adventures with TK, the YouTube channel.
Sure.
You started the YouTube channel.
Sure.
It's booming, and I think it's always amazing. What made you start the channel?
So, firstly, like I mentioned, I love to travel. And then I was like, how do we then talk about travel on a budget? So that's how the channel started. So initially it was Escapes with TK, literally just documenting my travels and adventures. And then I realized that with each workshop that I did, some people would be like, I have questions. So I then started thinking, how can I use the YouTube platform to reach a broader audience? It's not everybody that gets to read the content that I write. It's not everybody that gets to be to the workshops I facilitate. So through the YouTube channel, I literally just create content that people can consume when they want to consume it and how they want to consume it. So the channel really centers around different money topics, my personal experiences, interviews with other guests about their different money experiences, with subject matter experts, psychologists, other money coaches, pension fund experts, to say that bring your knowledge and let's break it down to a layman's understanding, so that every single person understands what we're talking about. Because again, the other issue with the financial services industry is the jargon we use.
Yeah, I know.
You know, sometimes the jargon, the words, how we name products can literally throw people off. Exactly. So my job through the channel is literally to break down the complex finance jargon to understandable, relatable, everyday
bare
conversation.
minimum English. Let's just
Absolutely.
communicate.
Yeah.
It's as simple
Let's
as that.
communicate.
Let's start. Let's talk about this. The importance of basically enhancing. You hold 5 degrees. You're chasing a safe one. You're chasing a PC.
Sure.
How is it important to make sure that you polish and hone your skills to a top tier level?
I think what COVID-19 pandemic showed us is that, firstly, COVID-19, the fourth industrial revolution that's coming up, is if you don't develop yourself, you're going to be very irrelevant very quickly.
Ooh.
Right? You know,
Ooh.
the world
And
is
you
changing.
don't wanna be
You
relevant.
don't want to be irrelevant.
Yo.
Exactly. The world is changing at such a rapid pace that you need to constantly be learning, sharpening, and improving yourself.
All the time.
So for me, besides the fact that I'm a low-key nerd, I love to learn. I love reading and getting new knowledge. I love interacting with different schools of thought. I'm a lover of education. Whether it's a formal degree, whether it's a short online course, whether it's a free webinar for an hour, I literally invest a lot of my time in my development. And the reason I do that as well is the more I know, the more skilled and competent that I am, the more value I can add to my community and to my clients.
And I can't stress how important it is to note that with proper sharpening of skills, you have to do it. The more you do it in something you love doing, is the greater you're going to become. You can never fail with doing something you love doing. And the more you just sharpen it and sharpen it and sharpen it, you're going to become a force to be reckoned with.
And the beautiful thing with that as well, Heavy D, is the better you are, the more skilled you are, the more money you make. So your earning potential grows, then you're able to charge a lot more.
You're about to rake it in, which is the most important thing. We're talking money, baby. This is what we do. You jump into corporate. How long were you in corporate for?
So I was in corporate for a decade, banking 3 years, telecommunications 4 years, and in fact, banking 4 years, telecommunications 4 years, and asset management 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're doing a whole decade of corporate, but then there's this urge to help people with money.
Sure.
It starts building, it starts burning, it starts wanting to come out, it starts wanting to come alive. You decide to bring it alive.
Yeah.
Now you're doing this, but you have to put on the lights. So you gotta start.
Ooh.
At the same time, you gotta put on the lights. So what do? You start while you're still putting on the lights.
Sure.
You put on the lights by staying in corporate.
Sure.
That's the only way to keep on the
Sure.
lights. What is that drama you are facing when you're starting your own thing on the side?
So the drama with
Yeah.
corporate and starting your own stuff on the side is, firstly, there will always be a conflict of interest from a time perspective.
Of
You know,
course.
you have to do your 9 to 5, but you also need to work on your side hustle. So sometimes my biggest challenge is my side hustle would happen during corporate's work hours. You know,
And then what kind of going? There's nothing you can do about
and
it.
there's nothing you can do about it. You can literally either cancel the gig or take leave to do it. So I used to cancel gigs, I used to take leave, I used to squeeze them during my lunch hour, but it became an issue because at some point, the more I did on the side hustle, the more the corporate politics started to become.
Of course,
You know,
no
when
one's
something
fault.
was not done, whether it's your fault or not, it becomes, it's because he's busy with A, B, C, and D. Highest agenda because yada yada. At one point, I actually got into trouble because I was posting my own content on my social media platforms and not necessarily for the organization I was working for.
Which computer were you using?
My computer, my phone, my data, everything. So it became a very big issue to say that, the reason he's also not promoting the organization's company or products or everything is because he's pushing his own agenda. So I was like, but I'm not, this phone is financed by me.
Yeah, this is my
This is
life.
my data. So it becomes those issues. And some of them are valid. Some of them are just people who are just like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Why do you think you're better than us? And I'm like, but we can all start our own thing. Get what I mean?
Was there ever a time you met up with anybody from corporate? You don't have to mention any names. And they straight up told you that the reason we're giving you such a tough time is because of 1, 2, 3.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very recently, actually.
Is it?
Absolutely.
And they were
yes.
why?
I feel like for me, it's also about how small our country is,
Yeah.
because we all know each other and we all. And sometimes, just to add on to that, sometimes your invoices may not be paid on time because there's a particular person who's just like, no, I'm not going to pay.
Tell
you,
me
you know.
about it.
So it's those dynamics and challenges that we need to navigate, and they are really can throw you off, particularly when you have bills to pay at the end of the month.
Exactly.
You know? So yes, there are people who wish you well, and many of them do wish you well. But there's also a group of people that not so much happy for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it ever drive you to a dark and painful place, realizing that there's an opportunity in front of me, but these people are just making it so complicated for it to succeed to another level?
I think for me, I left corporate June 2021, and it's almost been a year and a half now.
Yeah.
There's a time where things were really dark.
Yeah.
I actually did a video on my YouTube channel. I literally, all my bank accounts, firstly, before I left corporate, I had built a runway in terms of savings and investments, paid off a lot of debt, you know.
Yeah.
I had a plan in place. There's a time when all my savings were depleted. There's a time when my investments were literally run down and all my accounts were in negative balance simply because things were not working out. At that point, I felt like, did I make the right decision? Maybe I should go back into corporate and, you know, earn my paycheck.
Yeah.
And every 20th, I used to get paid on the 20th of every month.
Yeah.
Every 20th was a dark time because that check was not coming through. That SMS notification was not coming through.
Good.
Yo, it was horrible.
You kind of scared me, by the way. I'm just like, yo, you're kind of giving me a bit of a
But it takes hitting rock bottom,
Yeah.
and once you hit rock bottom, you know the only way is up. And it gradually started to go back up.
And there's no coming back from it. You
No
know that,
coming
right?
back, yeah.
You're gone. You're literally gone from it. You're going big. He's in the building, TK and Tab, and the money guy. We're talking everything that has to do with your wallet, everything that has to do with money. We're about to change your life, baby. Before we play Beyoncé, I was here. We're going to take a short break. And then you're going to come back and tell us why that tune.
Sure.
I love that tune. I was here. I think it's an amazing
I lived.
song.
I loved.
10 minutes left on the hour, the first hour. He's still in the hot seat. TK and Tabby. Were you here? Why not tune?
So firstly, my name is tokiso. And Lesotho, tokiso basically means improve, fix. So for me, this song is a reminder, a daily reminder that leave Lesotho, leave the world a better place.
I love that.
You know,
Leave
I don't know
Lesotho,
when my
leave the
time here will be done, but my goal is I want to leave a country that is financially empowered to make financial decisions.
Country
And
that's worthwhile.
a country that we can be proud of. I've got nephews and nieces, cousins that come after us. So for me, this song is a reminder that when I am gone, there needs to be a reminder that Tokiso or TK and Tebo was here, and people are making better financial decisions because of the work that I did.
Trust me, you're already making the noise.
Oh,
I think
hallelujah.
that's why you also call my hand. Like, this guy is already making such a statement. Why aren't we hearing this man's story? We have to understand where this man is coming from. We have to understand why is he doing the things he's doing. And I think your story is amazing.
Thank you.
Especially coming from, look, some people come from really tough backgrounds. We know for a fact. But you knew, man. You understood, man. It can go two ways. You can be a complete jerk. You could have been a complete jerk. You're just becoming a nuisance. But then you decided to do the opposite. You decided to be a beacon of strength, which is what not a lot of people are doing. And like I said, we have a platform in this country. The country is so small. The country has so much potential. All we got to do is recognize the potential and use the potential. It's as simple as that. Did you see yourself becoming a lecturer?
I've always loved academia. I actually remember, I think it was in my third year at the University of Pretoria. I was sitting in the lecture hall and I was just fascinated by this particular lecture and how she was conducting, in fact, it was honors year, 2011, how she was conducting the behavioral finance class. And I was like, I can imagine myself as a lecturer. So in 2016, I was approached by the National University of Lesotho to lecture tourism.
Oh, I love being approached by the way.
Exactly.
I love it.
So at the time, I was actually in Europe, and they were like, "Come teach tourism management." I'm like, "How fitting! I'm overseas on my first international trip." So I did 4 years of that, and then I took a break. I left the university. And now I rejoined the university to help the Faculty of Law with pension laws, focusing on the on the financial planning aspect within pension laws. So I've always loved to interact with people. I've always loved to work with students because that knowledge, that energy. There's also something very special about being on campus. The energy there is very different from anywhere else.
Yeah.
So for me, academia has always made sense.
Yeah.
Made sense.
Let's discuss the book.
Yeah.
What forced you or what pushed you to write the book? What's the title again?
So the book is the title of the book is Let's Change the Script.
Let's change the script.
Let's change the script. So what drove me to write the book? I've always wanted to write a book. In fact, I started a number of books, but I never really published them. So with this particular book is, again, I realized that there's only so much I can do in terms of my time and reach. So if I was to put together my thoughts, experiences, lessons, client stories into one book, then people who can't necessarily access or reach me for financial wellness or financial coaching, the book is a tool that literally provides tips on how you can navigate your money. And the book is written in such a manner that, one, it's written in the Lesotho context, because I got so tired of reading books on dollars and South African rands.
Of course.
Let's bring it to our context. It's written with stories that people can relate to. The cheap, silly, a story that an ordinary Lesotho can understand and relate to. And the language again.
I love that, by the way.
Thank you. The language again was very simple, easy to understand, so that finance jargon is not overwhelming.
And one thing I realized about reading, so I'm also trying the whole reading thing.
Sure.
I always call it the whole reading thing. It's never been my thing.
Sure.
So I really am trying to start reading and just really get my mind into it. But then one other thing that really just tosses me off, because a person's concentration span is quite short.
Sure.
You understand? One thing that really tosses you off is how the book is written. If the book has like humongous words, there's this, now we have to revert to the dictionary here and there, it will toss you off. But the minute, like you're saying, we at least have our tool. The minute you do that, it becomes so easy for everybody.
Absolutely. I have a strategy for you in terms of reading. 10 minutes a day.
Is it?
Just 10 minutes. Take a book, read for 10 minutes when you wake up or before you go to bed. 10 minutes. Before you know it, you finish a chapter, you finished the entire book. 10 minutes.
I'm gonna give it a try, the 10
Sure.
minutes thing. Like, and I'm gonna tell you.
Please,
like,
I've got you on social, so
exactly.
I will keep you accountable.
I'm gonna start soon.
Sure.
I'm gonna try the whole thing, because there was a book I was reading recently. And I pushed, and then all of a sudden I just got bored because I really just couldn't get into it anymore. But now I'm gonna try the 10 minutes thing and see how far I go with it.
Sometimes you don't have to read a book. There's an audio version of it. Listen to the book.
Yeah. But there's just something about books that's just so cool.
Okay.
The way it looks, there's just something so sophisticated about it. Look, I want us to come play a game before we end it off. Time really flies when we're having fun. So I see we only have like 5 minutes left.
Sure.
Like, I have a ton of questions for you right here. But I think we should have that conversation on the podcast.
Absolutely.
I'm going to start a podcast soon.
Yay!
We should definitely start one
Yay!
soon. So our conversations are really going to start heading off.
Yes.
Before we play this game, we're going to bump a tune. And then coming back, we're going to get into our game. It's an easy game. You got this.
I hate games.
I'm sure you're good at 30 seconds. So it shouldn't be a problem.
I'm terrible.
This better boy is called Last It's on PCFM. He's still in the building. We're talking money, baby. It's a gem and a half. 58 minutes after 12. Let's play the quick game, or it's called the hot seat game. For the questions.
Oh no!
Trust me, it's gonna be a breeze for you.
Sure.
You're a brilliant person. I know you're a brilliant person. So don't even sweat it. It's gonna be a breeze for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, cool. Question number 1. We'll go a little something like this. Who was the Lesotho Minister of Finance in 2010?
2010.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Come on. It's
Taban.
Right. Yes.
Timothy.
Timothy who?
Timothy
Yes, it's close.
Taban. I remember this because there's a law, the pension public officers defined contribution that came out in 2008.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he was still minister.
He was still minister. And the name is Timothy Tahani.
Tahani.
So I don't know if I should give you that one.
I got the Timothy.
I mean, you got the Timothy, so I'm going to give you that one. It's Dr. Timothy Tahani. Question number 2. Which bank uses the slogan, "It can be"?
Standard Lesotho Bank.
Okay. That was the first one. Moving into question number 3, it goes a little something like this. What is the most popular currency in the world?
The US dollar.
The US dollar is
Yes.
correct. And I'm moving on to the last question, the
Sure.
bonus question. And I'm going to take away Timothy Tahana one because they're
Okay, cool.
So you're not getting that one anymore. Who features in the Maluti Bank notes? Name all three kings.
Yo. The royals. King Moshoeshoe the
Yes.
first, King
okay.
Moshoeshoe the second,
Good.
and King Litsi the
There we go. It's as simple as that. There we go. Look, I still really do believe that your work is amazing. You're an amazing person, and you're about to change the game. Like it or not, this is what your column was, and now you're about to change it drastically. You caught my eye, and I was like, why aren't people telling? Why aren't we not getting this guy's story? This guy can change our lives.
Thank you.
Because we are so careless. And we're careless because we don't know. You understand what I'm saying? We're just careless because we don't know. But here's a tool. Here's somebody that's going to help us understand. Here's somebody that's going to help us know how to handle finance. Money is everything. I can't stress to you how important that is. Money is everything. And you are here to help us with our finances.
Thank you so much.
You're an
I love what I
amazing
do.
person.
Thank you very much, LED. Thank you
Change
so much.
the world.
I'm going to do exactly that.
Good God, you get me going all the time. So where can people find you and how does it work?
So on social media, tokiso Ntebe on all social media platforms. Tokiso Ntebe, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, podcasts. I'm also on Spotify, the podcast.
Right.
And then literally my website www.tkntebe.com.
And telephone?
Telephone 5775-7711, 5775 5775. That's the office line. 5775-7711.
Okay, 5775-7711.
Yes.
Thank you so much for honoring the interview.
Thank you very much for having me here.
I appreciate you a
Sure.
lot. You're amazing.